singing up Elishem is Baruch Daf Mem Aleph. The Mishnah says, we know in the Mishnah that there's two things that the woman brings. Either she brings in money, and then the husband, the chassan, writes 1.5 times because money he can increase, or she brings in begadim and then he's peiches a choimish. Ma roilen beksofim echad emechze shum pachas choimish. Umeis bechanina shaman daitish at isha jiroitze lechalos es kilel livches choimish. Usually she uses up and it gets less. So for $500 it turns into $400. So that is isha it's a little bit behind la soisen echad emechze. It makes 1.5 for $100 turns into $150. Omer Abias, zois emesh eino the rasha limki kla ishtoi. You see from this that he's not allowed to sell it, because if he could sell it, so he can turn the begadim into cash. So we see that he's not allowed to sell it, and mele it's nifchas a choimish. V'leimer b'chiyeh v'Rab Yasser, Rab Imi salken l'shuma de bratu Rab Yisrael Chanina. They went to a shuma for the daughter from Yisrael Chanina. On late b'chois choimish v'koifu. Make it less a choimish and also double it. On aloin b'chois choimish v'ein a koifu. No. We're gonna make it less and not double. So this was probably a practical thing of a minig, that there was two ways how to do it. There's one minig was that they used to double, put the number double. For example, they made from 500 to 400, and then they double it into 800. That was a certain minig. And then there was a different minig that just left it as it is. So he says, I'm following this minig. Shimon Babov Shem Bechnan, Ich nis aloi zav. Then the halacha is you keep it the same value. Tanikain tachshiten lasoisen dinner be'echad emechz. Dinner lasoisen tachshiten b'shavyan. If you plan to make it into jewelry, it stays the same value because it doesn't increase anything because you can't make business with it. What's the halacha? Chnis lebehem. Amalei b'shavyan. Chnis lekarka. Amalei b'shavyan. Be'enim b'staker. Doesn't he make money? It's not considered that he's making money from this car. We had before that each dollar turns into $1.50. Shisha dinner is a sell and a half. A chosen, a kabel olive, a sora dinner le kippe, so the summon, the cholman one she mechnis. So I go in there, I can come in. Dinner, shum. Okay, here I have to go a little bit slow because it's not. It's a teseftus and it's a little bit. The language is a little bit difficult, and hopefully I looked up into a certain Lieberman's explanation, and hopefully I understood it well. Okay, let's see. She said she's going to bring a 500 dinner, so with dinner is also oisoi abames. He only has to give 400. Lo yasa kain and also is Let's say the husband wrote in the star, you know what, I'm promising you 1,000. So what does that mean? It means basically what is happening here is really, it's a combination. He is promising 400 for the shum, plus 600 from his own retzoinoi, from his own ratz. So if she did what she promised, goive isha as a koy. Or probably she gets the full 1,000, right? She gets the 400 because she bought a 500, that's worth 400. Plus the 600 that he has an intention to give on his own. If she didn't bring in the begadim, so for each $5 that she failed to bring in, you subtract $4 because that's the deal here. For 500, she would get 400. So for each $5 less, she gets $4 less. In other words, the 600, and he gave it to 7. 600 that he meant to give no matter what. But on the other remaining 500, the way it works is, it's really she gets 400 for 500. So each $5 that she fails to bring in value of begadim, it gets deducted $4. An example: she doesn't bring in anything, so for $500 she promised to bring, she brings zero. $400 gets deducted, and she only gets 600. That's it. In Neus Raksel Lochal 5 dinarim shechnisa. Megareya sell for Mishra Dom Shlo Yechnisa. Im Lo Yechnisa Klum, Megareya Sikon Adina Adam Sham 697. Paul Klak for Chamish Min Dinik Sof. Oysa Oysa Shiva Mais Chamish. Lo Yasa Ken Oysa Oysa Elef. Again, he wanted to be in a div late. He promised to give more than that. So what does it mean? Again, the same story. We interpret it as he's willing on his own heart to add 250. Im Asas Kitsusa, if she does what she promised, no problem. Im Lav, she should do the whole seller and get the same thing. Just like before. 250 she gets no matter what. The other, for every dollar, she gets $1.50. She didn't bring in 500, she loses 750. Next. Pause Kalach the Elevziz, Socha Soisa Chamisha Asemon. Loya Sekain Elakos of Sodish. He wrote, here's an interesting case. She said she's bringing $1,000, and he gave her a field that's worth 1,200. So he didn't really do the right thing, because he's supposed to give for 1,000, supposed to give 1,500. And if anything, that he didn't even write a ksuba yet. So altogether it should have been 1,700. So what happens here? The Havalei Kamoid Kamachla as a Yisrael Echelech Lemechzer. Alkein Goiva 1,000 plus 200 kesubos. We interpret this situation, Ki'ilu, she said, you know what? You said 1,000, you probably don't want to give that 1.5, so I'm going to you that. But you promised 1,200 because 1,000 for what I bought in plus 200. Imlav. If she's not machnas, loy asas kain. Im asas tusa means she did not do what she lechnisa klum. She didn't bring in anything. She didn't bring in $1. In Poichsel Besulam Messiah. Mana. Not so sure if Imlab means she did not bring in anything, or Imlab means that he did not give a soda worth of 1,200. There also came a kosel of soda shovish name of Samon. Let's go a little bit further. It's not so clear, this Gemara, and I'm Hachat Megareya, Hachat Ma'ina Megareya. Here also, what does it mean? What means Hachat more? Kan but not la mixas. Kan b'sheloi not la mixas. So the question is, it's also not clear. What is he asking? What is he answering? I learned he's asking on the case where it's possible achnas 500 views to 400. Achloi os devrea. Iktona megareya. then the answer is, if she didn't do what she promised, it can't be megareya, because then she won't have a ksuba. Then he has to give no matter what. That's how I interpret this kasha. And then the Gemara asks, Hoch atmar negeh b'tesefes, hoch atmar in negeh b'tesefes. Taman hoyseb lo piches. Ram hoch piches lo hoyseb. Here it says in negeh b'tesefes. Gereh sel l'chol chamisha dinner. Ve'ein in negeh b'tesefes. The tesefes, it's impossible to take away. Means he has to give $600 no matter what, even if he didn't bring in a dime. Hochat mar ben negeh b'tesefes. Where does he say negeh b'tesefes? The third case. There he's mafchis. So Adarabah, he's not most of anything. He's just mafchis. Instead of giving her 1,700, he only gives her 1,200. So you can't say that she doesn't lose the tesefes because he's not most of anything. He's not most of anything. Adarabah, he's mafchis. Hey, that's what it seems. He goes on the third case. Baba Shlishas. The first kasha, hochat ma megareya, hochat ma ina megareya, goes on the case when it says pastel achnas, where it doesn't say he said anything. It just says she is machas 500, that he makes it 400. It doesn't say megareya. If she didn't do the vera, he's megareya. Why doesn't it say megareya? The answer is because if she didn't bring anything, and it's going to be megareya, then she wouldn't have a ksiba, and she would have to give ksiba. Kamashal lo miktas, kamashal it's a hard language. What it means, I know it's a doichi. It means if she brings something, if she doesn't bring anything, so then you can't be megareya. You only be megareya if she comes with something. So this Gemara still needs explanation, but I hope I have machabim lamita. Tanya, bein b'shum bein b'sof. Ma, fimashi boiches, fimashi moise, fimashi b'chneses. So how do you follow the shir of it says you have to give kippur to asar dinner lemona. Kenim sitzit kuppah the som b'chol mona. Omar Rabbi Yochanan. Also, noise b'somim can noise k'sof. Why? Because it brings period. Kado Talmid Rebbe Salka Kakshin. It's a certain name of a town. Ashkelon Arin. Amaloin Asnis Menachem Ayof and Lav. Hakel Kemenigam Etin. Okay, and it's a hard